Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
Businesses nearby a hotel in the Spanish Canary island of Tenerife, which has been under lockdown over a coronavirus outbreak with hundreds of tourists inside since February 24th, are struggling to deal with the lack of clients and movement around the area. Beverly, a hairdresser from Staffordshire, England, and owner of the Bamboo Hair Salon for 7 years, located in a shopping centre in front of the H10 coaster at Jed Palace Hotel, said her business has been massively affected by the hotel lockdown during high season in the island. Canary Islands health authorities confirmed the sixth case of coronavirus inside the hotel, a British guest, which was not part of the same group as the four original cases at the H10 Costa Edert Palace Hotel. The lockdown was imposed after an Italian doctor staying at the hotel tested positive for the virus on February 24th. Beverly said around 70% of her business comes from tourists and that 2 of each 10 customers come from the H10 hotel.
Polish chef Damian Wozniak worries about finding enough trained staff for his restaurant in the post-Brexit UK. The 40-year-old says he will have to raise prices in his restaurant by about 20% if he has to pay his waiters and junior chefs the minimum salary set by the government to bring European Union nationals to Britain to work starting next year. Damian Wozniak came to Britain 16 years ago and has worked as a head chef at the London Olympics and cooked for members of the royal family. These days, however, he's worrying about finding enough trained staff for his restaurant after the UK government announced new post-Brexit immigration plans for EU nationals. Under the new rules, people from the European Union will no longer have the automatic right to work in Britain. Instead, to qualify, migrants will have to meet certain criteria, such as specific skills, and receive a job offer with a salary of at least £25,600. That's more than $32,000. This will end an era of cheap labor from the EU in restaurants, hotels, and factories. Mark Jones, the chief executive of Carluccio's, which runs a chain of Italian restaurants, said he is skeptical that there are enough Britons to fill the gap created by fewer EU employees. Supporters of tougher immigration rules say the large pool of EU workers meant earnings for Brits stagnated. Concerns over high levels of immigration was one of the key drivers behind Britain's 2016 vote to leave the bloc. Since then, annual immigration from continental Europe has fallen by more than half. For Wozniak, he's still looking for a chef for his restaurant. Until he finds someone to fill the vacancy, he will have to come in at 6 a.m. every morning to do the job.
British car maker McLaren is seeking alternatives to existing Chinese suppliers to handle the impact of the coronavirus outbreak, which has already halted production at other manufacturing sites around the world. It's a decision mirrored by fellow British manufacturer Bentley, speaking at the unveiling of the new McLaren 765 LT at an event of its Woking headquarters. Company boss Mike Flewitt said that as a specialist car maker dealing with the top end of the market, production volumes aren't generally high enough to have multiple established sources. The COVID-19 coronavirus has infected tens of thousands and killed about 3,000 people, the majority in China, confining millions to their homes, disrupting businesses, and delaying the reopening of factories after the extended Lunar New Year holiday break. Both Bentley and McLaren said their model production, all of which is in Britain, has not been hit so far, with Volkswagen-owned Bentley saying it has secured supply of the 21 basic components, such as silicon chips it sources from China until the end of the month. China accounts for roughly 6% of McLaren's sales, which stood at around 4,700 vehicles last year, and at 18% for Bentley, which sold just over 11,000 vehicles in 2019. Lewitt said there had been very few sales at all so far this year in China, and the firm has taken steps to mitigate the risk from suppliers in northern Italy, which has seen multiple cases of the coronavirus. For Bentley, the sales rate in China is half what the northern English manufacturer would expect, and it risks losing some of the 200 to 250 sales from the first 3 months of the year.
Amazon will seek to overturn an EU order to repay about 250 million euros in back taxes to Luxembourg at Europe's second highest court, one of a series of high-profile cases marking the bloc's crackdown on unfair tax deals. The European Commission said in its 2017 ruling that the tax deal, which covered the period from May 2006 to June 2014, meant almost 3/4 of Amazon's business went untaxed. The EU competition watchdog said the Grand Duchy allowed the US online retailer to shift a significant portion of its profits from a subsidiary to a holding company without paying tax, giving the company an unfair advantage. At issue was a royalty paid by the subsidiary Amazon EU on certain intellectual property rights to Amazon Europe Holding Technologies, a company that the European Union said had no employees, no offices, and no business activities. Amazon said in its filing to the General Court that the EU had not proven its case, which it claims is riddled with legal and factual errors. The company said the EU ruling also breached principles of legal certainty because it relied on a flawed reference framework. It accused EU enforcers of discrimination by using 2017 OECD guidelines for a tax deal agreed with Luxembourg in 2003. In addition, Amazon said the EU has no case as a 10-year limitation period has expired. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire called on France's European partners for solidarity and flexibility amid the persisting coronavirus outbreak that has reached Europe. Speaking at a news briefing in Paris, Le Maire said France wants all options in aiding small and medium-sized businesses ailing due to the outbreak to be considered by the 27-member bloc, including budgetary ones if needed. Le Maire also called on the finance ministers of the group of 7 countries to issue a strong stance on the situation in a communiqué it is slated to publish later in the day. G7 finance ministers and central bank governors said they were committed to using all appropriate policy tools to support economic growth, but stopped short of outlining specific measures to contain damage from the coronavirus. Expectations of a coordinated policy response by developed economies have risen in recent days, but the statement confirmed an earlier report that the group was not ready to announce concrete policy steps.
Two analysts from respective industries has showed coronavirus has hit travel and food industries hard. Many companies in the US and around the globe cancelled business trips due to the spreading disease. Travel industry analyst Henry Hartevelt said Business travelers account for roughly 54% of the global passengers, but 55% or more of the revenues, and on a long-haul flight, a business class passenger is 5 times more profitable than someone in economy. Losing that business is a major problem for airlines. He said there is a chance that some of the European carriers might not make it through this crisis. Coronavirus has also affected food industry, but Rick Kamak, Dean of Restaurant and Hospitality Management at the Institute of Culinary Education, says, "Don't panic." He also said that coronavirus has affected other industries such as cosmetics. Analyst comments came as US House is set to debate a $8.3 billion bill to fight the coronavirus.